Hey, everybody. Welcome to week 2 of our Empowered Success Business Training. We're really excited that you could join us. My husband and I know you can see him right there, Paul. He's sitting at the other end of the table. We just feel invigorated. We feel like this big, giant hug from all of you because this week was awesome. This first week, I could tell by your comments on Facebook and just things that I heard through the grapevine and people on the team that you are spending time in the Empowered Success Guides, you're learning, you're growing, and that's what this is all about. Now, these weekly trainings are a little less focused on the conversations of building a business and more on mindset. And so tonight, we're covering 2 different topics. The first one, I will be talking about goal setting, specifically how to set goals that you can achieve. And Paul is going to, the last half of the class, talk about planning. That was a request from last week. He's a very driven and focused planner, and I can show you like the mountains of journals that he has left over because he's so meticulous with his planning. And in my head, I'm thinking like, that takes way too much time. Like, I don't have time to do that, but he gets it done. So there is a secret to his sauce. So we're just going to jump right in here. Thank you again for being on the call this week. I have been in a program called the Success Academy. I hired a coach, a business coach, a life coach, and I learned some really valuable things from the program. And tonight I'm going to be sharing a few of those things that I took away in regards to goal setting because I felt like it's transformed the way that I sort of organize my day. And one of the things that was mentioned was that all high achievers or all leaders in business have 3 specific things in common. And one of them is that they are very clear and focused on what their purpose is, what their vision is, and what their goals are. A lot of these high achievers as well have developed habits or rituals or systems, and they're very disciplined in maintaining those systems. And then as Paul mentioned last week, they take 100% responsibility for the results and their actions, and they're also very action-oriented. When we talked specifically about goal setting within this coaching program that I did, we set up a morning ritual, and this has now become almost like my religion. I really focus every single day and give my attention to this ritual or this pattern, however you want to call it or what you want to do with it. It's something that can be really powerful in how you set your day and how you maintain your mental focus. And so one of the things that I like to do when I first wake up in the morning is I kind of just plop down on the floor. And I guess if you follow me on social media, I did talk about that this week too. It's just the fact that for me, meditation, prayer, however you want to call it, is something that really grounds me. It reminds me that I matter, that I'm a person. And for some of you, that might sound really strange because, you go throughout life and you go to work and you do all these things. But for me, I stay home with my kids and I work from home. And so, yes, I get to communicate with people on the phone or sometimes in person. But for the most part, I feel like I'm just a tool for everybody else. And so when I set my intention for the day by, sitting down on a pillow with my back upright, really focusing on my breath, I feel like deep in my body, this grounding sense, this sensation that I'm present, that I matter. And I walk through my entire day within this meditation. I visualize how I want my day to go. I've already, set my planner from the day before of things I'm going to focus on and set my goals. And so during this meditation, I can visualize those things and I can walk through them. And you can even do like a self-assessment of your previous day's goals and results, right? So if you had set a goal to, like Paul talked about these purpose statements last week, if you had set a goal to accomplish this out of this particular phone call, then you can kind of walk through that and figure out what are my next steps. And so you're visualizing your day, you're setting your intentions, and I always like to end with my affirmations. So things like, I forgive you. That's a big one. There's a lot of people that I feel like I'm responsible for, not just in my family, but in my business. And I fall short all the time. And so if I allow those people's, distaste with me to weigh upon my shoulders, then it would be really difficult for me to move forward and continue to help other people. So I really have to let go of that. So I love that I forgive you. I value you. I value what you have to say. You could, I mean, if you're feeling real woo-woo, you could talk about how you love yourself, but just that what you have to say is important, that it's valuable, and people are there and they want to hear it. When it comes to my mental ritual, I do the meditating, I do the praying, but then I try really, really hard to set my intention in writing. So whether it's journaling or whatever thoughts came to mind while I was meditating, I jot that down. And then my physical ritual is like so the same every single day. I feel like I'm such a creature of habit because I come downstairs, I have a glass of lemon water. I'm always a product of the product, right? So I take my supplements every morning. I use my lemon essential oil in my water, and I allow that to really fill my body, to help cleanse the body, and to really start the day on the right foot. And this ritual, this morning ritual that I have, is the thing that I believe gets me focused and prepares me for my day's work and gives me the mental clarity that I need. So leading into goal setting and what we're going to talk about, I want you to really focus on what things you can do personally to allow space for goals in your life. Because even sometimes the word goal setting brings up things for you. Like you might have some discomfort in that because maybe you've set a goal before that you didn't achieve and it really disappointed you. And so just even thinking about setting a goal is like, ugh, that's ugh, right? But how about if you think of it this way? Like, what do you want? What do you want to be? What do you want to do? What do you want to have? And if you can create a list, you can call it a joy list, you can call it whatever you want. But if you can create a list of like 20 things that you want to be or you want to do or you want to have, then it's going to be a whole lot easier when you're setting out these goals, which I'm going to show you how to do in a second here, and to be able to look at that with focus and clarity and say, okay, these are the action items, or these are the steps I need to take to achieve these particular goals. So, I mean, we can post that on Facebook if we want to. I'd be happy to post my joy list. I have 50 things on my joy list of things I want to be and I want to do and I want to have. And we don't need to feel guilt about that. We don't need to feel selfish or that we're, self-righteous in any way because we want to have things, money or things like physical things, a house, a car, whatever it is. That is all great. It's wonderful. It's more things in abundance. And there's nothing bad. There's nothing wrong with that. So here's some topics for your joy list. Okay, so if you're thinking like, what am I going to write about? These are 8 things that you can focus on when you're trying to develop your vision for what you want to be, what you want to do, and what you want to have. So first, thinking spiritually, right? Whether that's God, the universe, whatever you believe in, identify what are some spiritual things or visions that you have for yourself. What kind of relationship would you like to have with your creator? For 2, this one's big. I think this one in our business is very, very, very important because people are going to look to you for direction on how to take care of themselves, right? So they want to see that you are taking care of yourself. So what are your health goals? What vision do you have for your health, and how are you going to create that? Okay, so is it being able to eat foods that make you feel well? Is it a particular, and I don't want to say like a weight because a number isn't ever my motivation. For me, it's how I feel. And it might be, a particular dress that I love that I'm like, I really want to be able to fit into this dress, not thinking about a number on the scale, but thinking about how I'm taking care of myself. Okay. What goals or visions do you have for relationships, whether that's family relationships, friend relationships, your parents, whatever it is? What relationship visions or goals do you have that you would like to achieve? And then for business, I mean, this one seems easy, right? There are particular rank goals in doTERRA, and they are scalable. They are something that can happen for anyone. There's no secret sauce to it. You have the knowledge, or you're learning the knowledge. You're just beginning to build that foundation. And I love that I've already fallen on my face and failed for you so that you don't have to do that. So that I can teach you the skills and the tools to succeed without having to make the same mistakes that I did. Financial goals. What is it that you envision for your future financially? What kind of freedoms do you want because of those finances? Personal growth, whether that is like for myself, I love to learn more ways to ease my anxiety, to calm my troubled heart. What goals do you have for doing fun things? Are there specific vacations you want to go on? Are there trips you want to take even locally, or places you want to take your kids? Do you want to buy a boat? I don't know. And then the last one, I feel like in doTERRA, we are a very heart-centered company, and that's like trickled down from the very top. Our all the founders of doTERRA are generous, loving, kind people, and it's very obvious that they love to give back. And so within doTERRA, when I have met people who have become presidential diamonds and they are financially free and they have time freedom, the first thing they do after they have all of their things taken care of is they give back. They turn around and they decide, like, I'm going to go on this mission trip, or I'm going to go on this healing hands trip. And they see that and they do that because they see our leaders doing it. And so I have a lot of goals for that too. So what do you see in the future as far as when you're financially free? What would you give back? What would you like to do for your community? Okay, this is like one of my favorite tips when it comes to goal setting for your business, your life, for anything. I mean, maybe you've already seen this technique before. I know Tiffany, my life coach, has a YouTube video about it, but learning it from her was really powerful because you can have a minimum target and outrageous goal for anything. Okay, it could be like for grocery shopping even. It could be for anything. But I love that it so easily transmits into business, into doTERRA. So MTO is thinking specifically about a goal. We could talk about health or business. We'll talk about health first, okay? So your minimum goal, if you want to get to a specific number on a scale, or if you want to get to a specific way you feel, okay, is you're going to set up these actionable items. And this is one thing I want to say before I jump to that, is you cannot like set this crazy goal for yourself and say, within a week, I want to be in this spot, or within a month, I want to work out 7 days a week, right? You want to set yourself up for success. So I'm not saying that you don't have to set lofty goals, but don't have this high in the sky goal that you would feel so discouraged by if you didn't achieve it. But this MTO is really going to show you how you can achieve a goal in a scalable way. Okay, so minimum, I want to work out, 2 hours a week. My target would be 4 and outrageous would be 6. Okay, so thinking about that in numbers, specific numbers. Okay, now let's talk about doTERRA. Okay, this week I want to be able to spend at least a minimum of 6 hours on my business. Okay, 6 hours working, time blocking for doTERRA. My target is going to be 10, but my outrageous is going to be 15. Okay, or contacts even. I want to contact a minimum of 20 people this week. My target is 50 and my outrageous is 75. Okay, so you're really setting yourself up for success because you're seeing that if I can have this minimum number, I'll feel good about that, right? I'll feel good that I can check this thing off my list and I know I've achieved it and I feel great. But I also know that when I get to that minimum number, and if I've got more time in the week and I see that there is this space still in my life for doTERRA, guess what? I'm going to shoot for that target goal. And then what if you've achieved your target goal within that allotted time? Then why not go for more, right? So the MTO setup, as I mentioned, could be for anything. Like when I say grocery shopping, like if I'm with my kids, I think to myself, okay, I only need to get toilet paper today because I have all 4 of my kids. But if I get in there, and that's my minimum goal, and I get in there and I'm in the aisles and they're happy and they're sitting in the cart, then I can go, oh, okay, my target goal, now I can go get some produce. And then they fall asleep in the cart, then my outrageous goal would be to finish the entire list. Okay, so you can look at this MTO as a goal setting tip for all aspects of your life. but there are 5 specific ways to achieve these goals. Okay, so the MTO is like the foundation, the scalable way to look at goal setting. But now, how do we set these goals? The first thing is we really need to be super clear and super, super specific. You don't want the universe to hear, like if you're saying, I really hope that I have 10 enrollments this month, but the universe is hearing you say like, oh, I need 10, but I probably can only get 5, or maybe now just 1. And you're kind of like talking it out in your head and justifying why you can or can't achieve this goal, right? The universe is hearing that. And so the energy around that is very negative. So if you're clear and concise on like your minimum target goal, I want, 2 people this week to schedule their wellness consults with me. And my target goal would be 4 and my outrageous would be 6. Okay, whatever that is. Then I am super clear and I'm super specific about it. I want these 2 people to get on loyalty order and try the Lifelong Vitality Pack or whatever it is. Okay. Number 2 is it measurable? Is it measurable? Think about that, because you could very easily say, it'd be super nice if I grew my business this week. Just be so great. I'd love to be premier by the end of the month, or I'd love to be silver, whatever your goal is. Like that would be nice, but that's not a measurable goal, right? You've got to have numbers in play, which can sometimes be really overwhelming for people to think like, I have to actually think of a number, because for some people, that number can tear them down. It can make them feel really overwhelmed and ashamed, or there's guilt there or fear. But that's why the MTO is so important, because you can set yourself up for success if you have a minimum target. Like if this is where I feel comfortable, then that's where you set your minimum goal. Okay. Okay. Now, number 3 is super important too. I feel like it's all important. I should just stop saying that. Okay. What is your motivation? What is the reason why you're setting this goal? Is it just to prove a point to your spouse, or is it to actually take action and move? Like, are you moving something in the way, out of the way, forward, so that you or your business or your health or your spirituality can grow? Because that's really important. If you don't know why, or if you don't have a reason or a motivation behind this goal, then there's not going to be any passion behind it. There's not going to be any reason to accomplish it. So establishing, as Paul mentioned last week too, that purpose statement and motivation is going to also help to achieve the goal. Okay, I love this one. Number 4 is you have to move towards your outcome instead of away from it. So if you were to say, I want to be debt-free, debt can also trigger a lot of feelings in people. Feelings are the reason why or why not. Okay, if you are trying to shoot for something, if you're trying to work for something, and your feelings and your emotions are in the way and they're hindering you, then you're not going to be able to achieve that goal. So if debt brings up negativity for you, then you've got to say, I would like a 0 balance on these credit cards, or a 0 balance on our student loans. That really brings a whole different light to this goal, because you're moving towards the outcome instead of away from it. Or, if, again, like when we talked about health, if you say like, I want to lose this many pounds, well, losing anything makes us inherently feel uncomfortable. But if you were to say like, I want to feel awesome, I want to be healthy, I want to eat these things, then you're moving towards the outcome instead of away from the thing that you're trying to get rid of. Okay, so just be really clear on the direction that you want to go. And then the last one, the last one also relates to taking 100% responsibility, and that is being accountable. But here is something that I want to recommend to everyone, okay? And I hope and pray that my partners feel this very same way, that you can be accountable in doTERRA to Crossline, to Upline, to Downline. You are accountable to anyone. You can even pick an accountability partner. And I love the way doTERRA is set up, because with this mentor system, right, having an upline, having cross lines, that is just a wonderful way for us to link arms and look out for each other. And so the biggest thing with goal setting is staying checked in. So many of us, we decide we're going to, accomplish this goal. We're going to set this minimum target, and then life gets in the way and the schedule gets busy and the day has passed. And you're like, okay, well now I have to put that on tomorrow's schedule. But if you had someone that you check in with daily, weekly, monthly, then you're going to be so much more inclined to actually do that goal, because you're checking in, you're staying checked in to that goal. You're staying checked into the why. You're staying checked in to the clarity and the simplicity of all of it, because you're being accountable to someone or to something, like a planner for Paul. Okay. So I hope that was helpful. And Paul is going to talk to us now about planning, and then we'll have some time at the end for Q&A. Sorry if we go over, by the way, because it's 9:30. So.
All right. I'm going to share my screen here. Oh, I can't share my screen, so you have to unshare yours. All right.
Hi, Crystal.
All right, everybody. Well, good afternoon. Or good evening, good night. Sorry, I'm used to presenting in the afternoon, I guess. Anyway, Lena had mentioned that I've got all these journals. I've got one right here in front of me. I'm taking notes. And I've got stacks of them. And I always use the excuse, well, this is how I'm going to write my autobiography after I'm president. So anyways, keeping track of things, planning, writing things down. That's how I journal. I don't necessarily journal like Dear Diary, this is what happened to me today. This is what I use a certain format. And I think the key to good planning, and even more importantly, the key to good execution, is making it a habit, having routines. This is the first 15 minutes every day of my work. And I try to do it in the evening as well. Once the kids are in bed, while Lena's upstairs finishing up, I like to sit down for like 5 or 10 minutes and sort of ask myself some questions. So you can see at the top of the screen, is it showing up? Yeah. Okay, so the first thing I want to talk about is sharpening the saw. This seems like it takes time. It does take time a little bit, but it's not as time consuming as you think. I spend an hour or so on a Sunday, 15 minutes every day, maybe 20 minutes. But on top of that, there's periods where I spend half the day on it. And that's when I'm setting a new goal, especially around the new year or quarters, because I like to plan in quarters. When I think of it as sharpening the saw. So if you've heard this analogy before, if you've ever chopped wood or cut anything for that matter, the more you work, the duller your blade gets. And if you're chopping down a tree with a dull blade, it takes a lot of work to get that. And so if you take a few minutes to sharpen your saw, then I guess the saw, I'm talking about an axe, but it's the same principle. The knife, the blade is going to cut a lot better. And that goes within the kitchen. That's why chefs, you always see the first thing they do is sharpen their knives before they start cooking. So I want to talk about how I set goals. Lena talked about your what was it, the target, your MTO goals. I'm a little more literal with my goals. So, I live in the T, I live in the target. Outrageous is always great. I can always add to my goals later. My minimum goals, let's face it, most of the time I probably get closer to the minimum goals. But before we do that, I just want to talk about, goals. Lena talked a little bit about, setting specific goals. I really like using the SMART goal method. So specific, measurable, achievable, relevant, and time-bound. And goals like this, goals for your doTERRA business, are meaningful for you and your home. No one's assigning you these goals. Lena and I have our goals. One of our big outrageous goal right now is for me to be able to step away from my job. But that's also a target we have. Like that's a specific target. You know, by December 31st, 2018, we want to have enough money coming in to where I don't need to punch a clock anymore. It has to be relevant. You know, if it's not going to be meaningful to you in any way, don't do it. Achievable, obviously, you know, you don't want to set off and say, I want to be platinum my second month in doTERRA. You'll always hear these stories, especially on YouTube, of these people who get these amazing rank advancements in a short amount of time. You know, that's great for them. Maybe they had systems in place already. Maybe you can do that, but let's be achievable. You know, let's make our goals achievable for us. And we'll talk a little bit more about that in a second. But achievable or measurable, you know, a rank, you can sort of measure that. But more important than that, I think, is, you know, what gets you to the rank, like Lena was talking about. You know, if you're going for elite, you know, where's the money coming from? How much money do you have? How many, you know, how many dollars per enrollment or whatever are you doing? You know, of course, specific. You're going to see why I work backwards in a second here. So this is our, you know, our goal, our Mount Everest. And if the goal here at the top, if the goal here is elite, or if it's platinum or whatever, you get to figure out what that means. And so, you know, is it 4 legs of silver, you know, if you're going for diamond or whatever it is. So this right here, I'm going to see if this works here. This is a new technology I'm using. So this right here is our main goal. That's what we want to go for. So write that out. Be clear about it. I want, you know, 3 legs of $3,000 coming in, regular basis, with 2 lines of power of 3 by August 31st, 2018. That's a real goal. And when you sit down that goal, you got to think about what your progress milestones are here. And your progress milestones, I like to set these out weekly, but you got to think of them in terms of monthly and then weekly. And in the, if you remember in the launch guide, in the launch videos, they said, take your 30-day non-negotiable goal. And that's what this would be. So you want to set up, you know, 3 30-day non-negotiable goals if your main goal is 90 days out. If it's 60 days out, you want to do it in 2, and so on and so forth. And so these are you're gonna create weekly milestones then. You know, I've got X amount of enrollments per week. I've done X amount of one-on-ones or classes per week. I followed up with 15 people per week. You've got to work backwards and figure out what it takes for you to hit that goal. And you're going to have these weekly milestones that have to happen. And then down here at the bottom, this is where, you know, the drudgery happens. This is your 20-mile march. This is your, you're getting blisters or whatever, because it's what you're going to do every single day. And working back from your weekly milestones, your progress milestones, this is what you have to do. So if on Friday you're having a class, and that's one of your weekly milestones, is to have a class that Friday, then every day leading up to that, you have to be hustling to get people to show up. You know, whether does that mean phone calls or emails or Boxer messages or whatever. Now, this is a great template. I use it, but I write it out on paper. I don't use the one that came with it. But this comes from a journal called the Best Self Journal. We're not doing a copyright violation because it's available for a free PDF download. I can try and find that if you like it. I've been using it for years. But so I write my big result right here. Okay. And then I've got my progress goals. So, you know, this is what, you know, if it's a 90-day goal, each one of these is the end of the month or something that's going to get you there. So if, in this case, in this person's goal, they're going to increase their revenue before the project launch. So they're going to have 10,000 new subscribers. So this could be, you know, if I'm trying to hit diamond, you know, you got to make sure, you know, leg 1, 2, 3, and 4. So I've got 4 legs of silver. What does it take for 4 legs of silver, and so on and so forth. And just work it backwards there, and you have these goals, that measurable goals that you can apply. And then down here is your weeks. So, you know, there's these 3 months with the different weeks broken out. So, you know, we've got 1 here. What's my big goal? 2, these are the 3 things that are going to help me hit my big goal. And then 3, these are the 3 things that are going to help me hit those 3 things. So we see how we're breaking that down. And then here, I love contracts with myself. And so I would write, Paul Schwen, will commit to completing this goal by August 31st, 2018. And by achieving this goal, it will improve my life in a way that I will have, $9,000 in income coming in, or I will have the time freedom to spend with my family. I'll be able to quit my job, whatever it is. And then I love rewarding myself too. And so if I complete that, I'll have a weekend away with my wife. Or when I was back doing sales, whenever I hit 120% of my goal, I'd buy a new suit. I have a closet full of suits that I don't wear anymore because they're all 10 years old, so Lena doesn't like the style. But every time I hit a goal, I would do that. And then the last section, and these are great questions to ask yourself, is I will do the following 3 things to ensure that I use my system. This is the self-journal, and I use my system to take on these goals every day. So number one is I gotta plan every single morning, no matter what. I share my commitment with Lena or another accountability partner. And this one is I have my morning coffee after I plan my day. For me, it's I don't check my email. I don't check my voicemail or anything. I don't until I've planned my day, because if I do, I get all the different fires I have to put out, the different little tasks that aren't meaningful to my goal to do. And so this is a great page for your weekly milestones. If you're looking at a 12-week plan or a 13-week plan, I guess is what's here, is you write down all 3 weekly milestones for all 13 weeks. And this will really help you understand what you're doing. If you're doing a month plan, you can break it up into, a month. But, I like the big, hairy goals. I like, saying, I'm going to get this done. I want this much revenue. I want this many clients, and so on and so forth. And then this is just an example of what I use. So I use Evernote and my written planner to keep track of everything. And then I'll put like my meetings that I have to remember in my phone, and it syncs up with my computer. So I've got like 3 different things going on here. The reason why I put an agenda with tasks in Evernote like this is just so I can see my whole week all at once. So in here I could put like Monday morning, doctor's appointment, Tuesday afternoon, call with financial planner, Wednesday, one-on-one with John Schmuckatelli, so on and so forth. And then the tasks that have to get done by specific days. Now, this is not my daily plan. This is my reference. I'll be looking at it every day when I do my daily plan, but it's not my daily plan. The reason I use Evernote is because it syncs with all my devices. My notebook, I mentioned this last week, but my notebook has like special, I'll see if you can see them on the computer here, these different little symbols, and I can use the app with it, and it syncs the page right into my Outlook notebook. I can tell it where to go, so I can actually have it tied to a week or a day or whatever. It's really handy that way. And then finally, here's my daily routine. You guys are going to think it's really obsessive, but I'm going to tell you why it works. Number one, you try to fill up you don't want any free space in there. Idle hands are the devil's workshop, right? But you want to fill it up with everything. So if it's, in this section, you're like, wake up, go ahead and put that in there. My pen's not working so good on the thing, but, this is my wake up period. This is my commuting period. Put that in there. And what can you do on your commute? If you're not driving, you can read a book. If you are driving, you can listen to a book. If this is your planning day, I plan when I get to work, not at home, because I have my desk and my headphones. I can shut the door and everybody leaves me in the office. And this would be, okay, I'm going to make client phone calls during this period. Or let's change the colors because red's so aggressive. Let's do lunch, meeting here or whatever. And then, if this is your sleep time, make sure you put that in there. And this is a commitment to yourselves, guys. If you want to be asleep by 9, be asleep by 9. If it's 11, it's 11. Everybody's different. But block out every single hour and make sure you're keeping your targets. Remember those weekly targets. You have your 3 weekly targets, which break down into 3 daily targets. Make sure you're keeping those in there. And guess what this is too? You're writing your goal every single day. And then you're also writing your gratitude. So this is your morning routine, this section here. And then in the evening, you're going to do, and this is, if you're doing a meditation or whatever, I think that's good to do this after the meditation when your mind is clear. You're going to write down your wins for the day. And then we don't call them failures. We're going to write down our lessons learned for the day. And then you're going to close the day with gratitude. Let me tell you why I think starting your day and ending your day with gratitude is fantastic. And wherever you come in on the law of attraction, I tend to believe in it because I've made it really work for me in the past. I landed a beautiful wife, but other things as well. When you are putting gratitude out into the universe, you're making yourself available for things to come in. The more you complain, the less grateful you are. Whenever I'm having a bad day at work, especially if I get yelled at by my boss and I just can't seem to get my brain right, I sit down and I write down 10 things I'm grateful for. I have a little YouTube station that's meditation music that I listen to. And I just, for 10, 15 minutes or so, just, write down 10 things I'm grateful for. I repeat it over in my mind. And I don't say like, I am grateful for my dog, my boys, good food, that sort of stuff. I write down every single time. Today I am grateful for wonderful music. Today I am grateful that Lena made me my favorite dinner. Today I'm grateful for, these sorts of things. And just the words I am grateful, you're programming yourself to be grateful. And what that's going to do for you is that's going to open, like I said, open yourselves up to receive more. It's also going to help you look for things to be grateful. People are going to notice your personality. You're going to be smiling. You're going to be happier, and you're going to deal with challenges a lot better. In your wins, always find a win. Brag on yourself to yourself every single day. And whether it's, the only thing you can brag on yourself for is today I actually kept my plan and I kept my journal. Well, that's still a win because that's a commitment you made to yourself. But hopefully it's, I wanted to do 12 calls today, did 15 calls today, and I've got 6 people lined up for a class this week, or something along those lines. The lessons learned, be honest with yourself. If the lesson learned is I can't walk by Dunkin' Donuts or else I buy a donut every single time I do, then you know that you got to go down a different street, when you're walking to work or home or whatever. And I promise you, if you guys follow this through, last week I talked about purpose statements. This is one giant living purpose statement for your day. And as you use these different sections where you have your tasks and so on, I'm trying to write on my notes on, when you're in this area, you're being purposeful. For 2 hours, I need to review my client's records before I can draft something. I mean, that's something that I do. I'm going to draft this memo for this hour and a half right here. And when I'm doing that, if I get an email, I can ignore the email. If I get a phone call, it can go to voicemail. And then when I'm done with that purposeful block of time, then I can deal with the fires that come up. Let me just look at my notes here. Start big and go small. That's so important. In the launch guide, it said little achievements create big results. One enrollment changes one life, but it's not going to change your life all that much when you enroll one person. But if you enrolled one person every day for a month, then you'd have 30 enrollments, and it'd be fantastic. Or maybe it's just one person a week and you'd have 4 enrollments. Well, guess what? You're almost elite at that point, if you enroll the right people. If you make sure, one of the things we talk about all the time is making sure we talk about LRP with every person we enroll. And I talk about the supplements with every single person who asks me about doTERRA. Because they go, oh, my mom likes the essential oils. You know how many times you've heard that? I don't know. But for as a guy, that's the thing that does the best. Although I do carry around oils everywhere I go, and I use them in front of people all the time, and it always strikes up that conversation.
Comprehensive.
And then the very last thing I want to leave you with is use that launch guide. The plan is laid out in the launch guide. If you want to be elite, use the elite launch guide. If you want to be silver, so on and so forth. The plan is already laid out in there. You just plug it into whatever you're using. And then, yeah, I think that's about it, Lena. I'll turn the time back over to you or open to questions. How do I stop sharing my screen, though? That's the thing. There we go. I see it.
Okay, can you guys hear me? Yes. Okay, awesome. So I know that was a lot, but it's probably interesting to see both perspectives just because he and I do things so differently, but I can appreciate the ridiculousness of it all. And it's actually like a piece of art. Like I look at his planner and I'm like, this is really cool. It is really all filled in. I also have the Calendly program, which is just like $10 a month. So if you send people this link, they can sign up for an appointment time to talk to you on the phone, whether that's someone like or new clients. And I feel like it's really professional. And it also allows me to set specific office hours. And that's really important when you're working from home or wherever you're working from, to set an allotted time that you can actually be focused on doTERRA. So on my Calendly little link that I share with people, when they click on it, it only shows the times of day that I want to be able to be on the phone and be available. Sorry, that is intense lightning. Did you guys hear that? Can you hear it, Emily, where you are? Yes. Oh, this is scary. But yeah, so what questions do you have about goal setting, about planning, about any of it? I know Crystal wants the link to that thing you shared.
Echo. Try it.
Deep Blue Guys Gateway Oil. Yes, Loren. I think Paul's like addicted to all of them. He made he makes everything. It's really cute. Cass or Crystal or Dr. Cher.
I have something.
Yes.
I'm like, I should
there is your pretty face.
Oh gosh. Okay.
No, you look so good. What are you talking about?
I look a hot mess. Okay. So I do love the whole, for Paul, I like the whole like reverse engineering, like you begin with the end in mind. You had talked about what you wanted to be, work your way, to reach that goal. Like how would I, or any of us kind of do that, kind of structure that? Does that make sense?
Sorry, I was finding the link to that thing. So ask your question more.
Paul's like, I wasn't listening to you, Lauren. Okay.
Yeah, if you look at the chat, the link should be in there now.
Okay. I was saying, one area that I really want to get a good handle on is that whole area of reverse engineering, Paul, and how you said, like, well, if you want a certain rank, you work backwards, you begin with the end in mind. Like, how would someone structure that or even begin to structure that?
So first off, start off with the builder guide or the rank guide for that. Right. Can you mute yourself for a second? I'm hearing the wicked echo. So yeah, start off with that that launch guide, and then find out what works for you from there. So in that launch guide, they gave suggestions like 12 enrollments or something like that.
Right.
If you watch the video, it explains a little bit more of that, or rewatch it. Then you got to record your own results. One of the things that so Lena always talks about her life coach, Tiffany. She used to be my coworker. And so I always say I taught her everything I know. That's not really true. But one of the things that we used to teach our salespeople was that what you record increases, and what you record on and report on increases exponentially. And so everybody here has a mentor, whether yours is Lena or Emily or somebody else in the organization who's not on the line. And I like to set it up as sort of manager's not the right word, but a coach is probably the better word. My leadership relationship is very coach oriented. And so, ask your mentor or your leader to coach you on it. So if your goal is to be silver by a certain day, then you got to understand how much money you need coming in from all your different leagues to hit that. And then you got to understand what you got to do to get more money. So if you've got 1,000, let's say you've got all your other leagues fine, but you've only got 1,000 coming in on this treble leg you have, and and it keeps you from hitting rank all the time or whatever. Well, then you got to figure out, what am I going to get 5,000 out of that leg, or however much you need on a monthly basis, so I can hit silver every single month without adding new rank. Because all the new people you want to add, you want to get up to the goal. Mm-hmm. And so what's going to get you to silver every month is going to be what you think about. So does that mean that you need one more builder on that leg, or two more builders on that leg? Or does that mean that you need 4 classes with 15 people per month? Or does it mean, and then you set that goal on the first of the month, and then on, the 7 days in, on your next mentoring call or coaching call, you go, hey, I'm falling short. What are your suggestions to get me back up to that? Or, hey, I'm doing great and I can see the results happening. But you have to do it, anytime you don't plan something out, you're just letting the universe take control, or you're letting whatever elements take control. I have it's ridiculous on my phone. I've got at 6 a.m. I wake up and I shower from 6 to 6:30. And at 6:30 I get up and I wake Joey up. And when I wake Joey up, then we have breakfast. And I pack his lunch, and then at 7:15 I wake the twins up. And that's how meticulously I plan, but that's how meticulously I need to plan. Lena doesn't need to do it that way. But I never forget anything that I write down. If I don't write it down, I forget it all the time. I've got a lot of stuff going on. We've got this business. I've got 4 kids. I'm an attorney. I've got, I'm an advocate too, and I volunteer at different places. Then I've got responsibilities at church I need to work out. And if it's not written down, it's not happening, period. And if it's written down in a to-do list and not put somewhere on my calendar for me to do it, it's not happening. And so you've got, think of a funnel. The success is a funnel. You've got all these different things up here, and you want to get it down to being gold or silver or platinum or presidential or whatever. And, you just work it down. You've got all your daily little tasks, or all the stuff that needs to happen. You've got the little bigger things. So, you start off with, the rank and what the rank means, then you work it back. Did that answer your question?
It does. Thank you. I'm a big proponent of writing things down, because I don't think it doesn't happen if you don't write it down. So thank you. That's good. Thanks.
Can you hear me? Yeah. So I do that very same thing, Loren. I look at, let's see, Emily calls it her love leg. Is that right? Yeah. So like you look at your leg that maybe needs more focus, some extra love, and you can map out, okay, so in order for me to hit this rank or this financial goal or accomplish these things, I need to have, this many classes and this many one-on-ones. If you're the, type of person that doesn't want to do like a big class setting, you can always say, if you're going to schedule it down to one-on-ones, you need a lot more of those. But I also look at my existing members. Okay, this is really important and something that we sometimes lose focus on because we're so, driven to get the next enrollment, because enrollments are exciting and we're helping more people. But when we educate and we really, really focus on the education part of our business and not so much on, who's going to partner with me of the people that are existing? Like, I want you to do the business with me because you're so amazing. Like, not, that just goes totally out the window. Like, the main focus, the main purpose of why I'm doing what I'm doing, I mean, obviously the money is nice and that's a part of it, but that's not my main focus. My main focus and the whole reason I got started in all of this is because I love to help people. And so if we're focusing on what is already there and we're thinking of ways that we can educate and support and really hone in on our own talents and our own experiences, then that's going to be able to inspire and bless the people that are already using doTERRA. I hung out with a gal yesterday who's she's just got this very niche market. She's a blogger and she's good at what she does, and it's her main source of income, and she's amazing. And so I was just kind of picking her brain a little bit and trying to figure out, like, what is it that is her secret sauce? Because every single time she sets out to make a goal or she plans for something, she does it and she finishes it, right? And she finishes it fast. So like, for a home renovation, she goes to Home Depot and she brings the stuff back, and then she realizes that she didn't buy the right part. So she goes back to Home Depot. Well, then Home Depot didn't have that part. So then she drives to whatever other store she needs to go to, right? She goes to all the stores until she finishes the goal that day or within the, like, 2-day span. And that's the difference between her and I. Like, I would have given up on first try. I don't like taking my kids to any stores. Her kids are very like, go with the flow, and they just know that their mom's an Energizer bunny. But in picking her brain, one of the things that I realized was that she knows her market. She has things that she is solving for a particular set of people. And her audience isn't ginormous, but what it is they're all engaged, they are all focused, and they're all obsessed with her. They buy everything that she tells them to buy, and they are responding, and they're always engaged. And so she was saying, you know, for a while on my social media, you know, I would talk about home renovations, and I would talk about mothering and sewing. She's a great seamstress, and she would talk about all these things. And she goes, and then I talked about food, and she realized, like, I love all these things and I love food, but I don't need to market food to my clients. Like, that's something I can just enjoy and share once in a while, but I don't need to educate and support people on food because that's not what I'm selling, right? So if you think about you in doTERRA, what is it that brought you to the product? What is it that brought you to the business? What is indispensable in your life from doTERRA, whether it's a doTERRA product or lifelong, whatever it is, okay, that you can't live without? That should be your focus. That should be your niche. That should be where you spend a lot of your energy and your time developing, so that those who, maybe you feel like you're narrowing down your target audience too much, but truly you're going to find more committed people that way, because you're finding your wheelhouse. You're finding the thing that you're really good at that you can talk about with passion and heart and soul behind it. So I wouldn't say, you know, get caught up in like, oh, well, Lena knows a lot about Lifelong Vitality Pack, so I must learn all the things about Lifelong Vitality Pack. If that's not something you're passionate about, like, yeah, you take them, but like, that's not what's indispensable in your life, then develop the thing that is and talk about the thing that is. And like for you right now, Loren, you're such a good example of this. Like, you have this passion project going that is so inspiring. It has, you know, brought you a ton of enrollments in 1 month. And it's making me see that it doesn't have to be one way. Like, it can be something that resonates with someone deep down in their heart, and they feel this desire just to like give back, you know? So whatever it is, it can be anything, but as long as it means something to you, it's going to make other people sit up and listen. I don't know if that helped.
That helped a lot. Thank you.
Yeah.
That was really good. Yeah, that was perfect. Because I think it just helps us to kind of land the plane in a way, you know, like find our path and really stay on our path and make sure it's really defined. So that was really good.
Okay.
Thank you. Thank you.
Are there any other questions? Crystal, what a sweet little boy you have there. Snuggle bug. Cass, Crystal, Emily, Paul.
Put on your Bruno Mars. Put on your Bruno.
I know, right? Paul says he has something.
So I just wanted to kind of follow up on that, what Lena's saying. You don't have to have this super knowledge. Don't be like Lena, or don't be like Amber or Jenna or anybody else in the upline or the organization. Be like yourself. If you just think about what you love about doTERRA, if you're a user, you're gonna love something about it. And just have that be your thing. You don't have to be super expert in anything. You don't have to be a super expert in the business. You will be as you do this, but you don't have to be today. Just your one thing that you love and evangelize on that one thing. If you come across somebody that doesn't care for that idea, well, then something you really like might be the next thing. But start off with that one thing. Everybody talks, I guess Lena's kind of known for being the gut health person. That's her passion. That's something that, we've dealt with in our family. But that doesn't mean that everybody in her organization has to know the difference between, the flora and fauna of the gut. Just you have your thing. Be you. The person you are is fantastic. And I'm not just talking to Loren, although she is great, but every single person in here is trying to make a difference in their lives. And that, is a positive thing. That's going to bring more people into your life because of it.
Can you hear me? Awesome. Oh my goodness, you guys are awesome. That was like exactly 60 minutes. How did we do that?
Well done.
It's amazing. Well done, guys. Yeah, so let me just cover one more time for anybody that missed it. The Empowered Success Business Training Facebook group is where you will see the numbered posts, right? They're not going to be necessarily in order on the page, but they are numbered chronologically so that you can go back and look at what videos to watch or what things to do. And I've really, really cut down on the homework since the last training, simply because I want you to focus a lot of your time on your business, right? So I'm only giving like little pieces of homework as we go along that I think are really vital and really important. And I have, within like a lot of intention, put them in this group with the hopes that they will help you to grow your business. So when you get time, take a look at that. I'll be posting week 2s tomorrow, and you'll see it'll say week 2 at a glance, and that'll touch on all the things for the week. Cool. Awesome. And then Emily, do you want to talk for a second?
Yes, what's up, guys?
Hey.
Right here, baby Rose.
Hey, Rose.
She's.
I didn't know she cried.
She does sometimes. I mean, it really is very rare, actually. Sunday, her schedule's all messed up, and so she's trying to sleep. Or she's trying to not sleep. Anyhow, okay, so this week, I'm going to do a Facebook Live in the group, and I'm going to talk about each piece of the Empowered Success suite, I call it, the guides. So this week, I'm going to be talking about how to utilize the Healthy Can Be Simple guide and how to maximize that to our best advantage in our business as we talk to people about doTERRA and what it looks like, incorporating oils into your life, and how to use that cute little guide. And then as the weeks go on, then the next one, talk about Live Guide, and then, and such and so forth.
Mm-hmm. Perfect. Okay, cool. And I appreciate you posting. She posted all the links as well. So if you don't have them in your actual possession, like physically, yet, you can go over and you can download them and print them, or you can also just purchase them from doTERRA.com, which is really helpful because I like the format of it. I like how it's like bound together, and then I love buying them for new people too, and just sharing that with those in our circle. So thank you.
It's super easy to add to your LRP too. I love that you can just plop it right in your cart.
Perfect. Awesome. Thanks, guys.